History rarely repeats itself exactly, but in crypto, it often rhymes. Welcome to my channel. I'm here to share the forgotten stories that made this industry what it is. So, sit back and listen closely.
October 25th, 2017. It is early morning at the Sofia airport in Bulgaria. A woman walks through the terminal. She is not surrounded by bodyguards. She is not accompanied by an entourage of sycophants. She is alone. She has dyed her signature raven black hair a nondescript blonde. She boarded a Ryanair flight to Athens. Not a private jet, not a chartered Gulfstream, a budget commercial airliner. This is the last verified sighting of Dr. Ruja Ignatova. In her carry-on, she likely holds the keys to a fortune, and behind her, she leaves a smoking crater where $4 billion used to be. This is the woman who convinced the world she had built the Bitcoin killer, while in reality, she had built nothing more than a spreadsheet and a very expensive illusion. While the smart money was laughing, the dumb money was mortgaging their homes. But before she vanished into the ether, she orchestrated a spectacle of greed so magnificent it almost commands respect. Let us rewind to the moment the trap was set. It is 2016, and we are at Wembley Arena in London. The lights are blinding, the music is thumping like a heartbeat, and thousands of people are screaming. They are not cheering for a rock star. They are cheering for a financial product. On stage, rising on a hydraulic lift, is Dr. Ruja. She is wearing a red ball gown, dripping in expensive jewelry, wearing red lipstick that looks like war paint. She tells the crowd that Bitcoin is old news. She tells them that OneCoin is the future. She tells them that they are going to be rich. The psychology here is masterful. She was not selling a cryptocurrency. She was selling a second chance. She was preying on the specific regret of the middle class. The people who heard about Bitcoin at $10 and ignored it, only to watch it climb to hundreds. She offered them a time machine. She said, "You miss a first boat, but I am the captain of the second one." Her credentials were impeccable on paper. A law degree from Oxford, a stint at McKinsey. She spoke with the authority of an insider and the charisma of a cult leader. She understood something fundamental about the retail investor that Wall Street often forgets. The retail investor does not want technical analysis. They do not want EBITDA multiples or cash flow projections. They want a story. They want to belong to a revolution. Ruja gave him a revolution packaged in a multi-level marketing scheme. This was the genius of the distribution model. By using an MLM structure, she turned her investors into her sales force. Every person who bought a package had a financial incentive to bring in their friends, their family, their neighbors. It spread like a virus, bypassing the skepticism of the financial press, because the pitch wasn't happening on Bloomberg TV. It was happening in living rooms, in church halls, and over WhatsApp groups in remote villages in Africa and Asia. The money poured in at a rate that would make a hedge fund manager weep. We are talking about millions of dollars a week. At its peak, OneCoin was generating more revenue than many Fortune 500 companies. And the overhead? Virtually zero. Because, and this is the part that truly separates the master criminals from the amateurs, there was no product. When you buy a stock, you own a piece of a company. When you buy Bitcoin, you own an entry on a distributed ledger, secured by computing power. When you bought OneCoin, you bought a spot in a database. But the investors didn't know that. They saw numbers on a screen, going up. They saw a dashboard that told them they were getting richer every single day. It is the ultimate narcotic. Why ask questions when the graph is green? Why perform due diligence when you are already mentally spending the money? But building a $4 billion empire on a lie requires more than just charisma. It requires a technical smokescreen. Ruja had convinced the world that she had a blockchain, a sophisticated decentralized technology that could handle transactions faster and cheaper than Bitcoin. The reality, however, was so laughably simple, so insultingly crude, that it almost defies belief. And it is a specific technical secret, this absolute void at the center of the OneCoin galaxy, that eventually forced Ruja to make a decision that would leave the FBI chasing ghosts in the next decade. The secret was in the SQL database. For those of you who don't speak nerd, let me translate. A blockchain is an immutable ledger. Once you write something to it, it cannot be changed. It is trust through mathematics. A SQL database is essentially a fancy Excel spreadsheet. It is centralized. It can be edited. If you are the administrator of a SQL database, you can go in, type a number, and voila, you have created money. You can delete transactions. You can rewrite history. OneCoin did not have a blockchain. They had a server. They simulated the mining process. When users logged in and saw their tokens being mined, they were watching a script running a progress bar. It was a video game. It was theater. This allowed Ruja and her inner circle to manipulate the price at will. There was no market force. There was no supply and demand. There was just Ruja deciding that the price of OneCoin was €5 today and €6 tomorrow. It creates a perfect, volatility-free upward trend that is impossible in real markets. Smart money looks at a chart that only goes up and runs to the hills. Dumb money looks at a chart that only goes up and takes out a second mortgage. But the problem with running a fake blockchain is that eventually people want to use the coins. They want to see the transaction hash. They want to verify the data.
To keep the illusion alive, Ruja hired developers. She paid them exorbitant salaries to build a facade. But you can only pay a developer so much before they realize they are coding a crime scene. One specific anecdote illustrates the absurdity of this. They tried to recruit a famous blockchain expert, Bjorn Jerk, to be their CTO. They offered him a salary that would make a banker blush, plus a penthouse and a car. His job? They told him they needed a blockchain for their coin. He was confused. He said, "You have been selling this coin for 2 years. What do you mean you need a blockchain?" They told him, "Well, we don't have one yet." Bjorn declined the offer and instead went to the authorities. This was the beginning of the end, but the money was still too loud to hear the warning bells. The internal structure of OneCoin began to resemble a royal court in the final days of Rome. You had Ruja, the queen, traveling the world, buying real estate in London, hosting parties on yachts. You had Sebastian Greenwood, the master marketer, the man who understood the dark psychology of the MLM. And then you had Constantine, Ruja's brother, the bodyguard turned personal assistant, a man with too many tattoos and not enough IQ points to run a billion-dollar financial operation. As the pressure mounted, Ruja became paranoid. She knew that an SQL database could not hold up against a serious audit. She knew that the banks were getting suspicious. Money laundering checks were bouncing. Accounts were being frozen. The smart play would have been to exit then. Take $1 billion, disappear to a non-extradition country, and call it a day. But greed is a funny thing. It blinds you to the cliff edge even as your toes are hanging over it. Ruja wanted more. She wanted legitimacy. She wanted to be on the cover of Forbes. She actually tried to list OneCoin on a public exchange. Imagine the audacity. Taking a fake coin with no blockchain public. It is like trying to list monopoly money on the Nasdaq. This hubris was her critical error. It drew the attention of the regulators, not just the financial ones, but the criminal ones. The FBI was watching. The German police were watching. And just as the net was tightening, a single betrayal from within her inner circle threatened to expose everything before she could make her escape. This betrayal came from the unlikeliest of places. Her lover, Gilbert Armenta, a wealthy, connected man who was helping her move the money. Ruja trusted him. She confided in him. She likely told him things she didn't even tell her brother. But the FBI had gotten to Gilbert first. He had been caught up in his own legal troubles, and the feds offered him a deal. Wear a wire, get Ruja on tape, and maybe you don't spend the rest of your life in a concrete box. So, Gilbert wore the wire. He recorded her. And on those recordings, the facade of the visionary genius crumbled. She wasn't talking about banking the unbanked. She was talking about taking the money and running. She was calling her investors idiots. She was planning the exit strategy. In late 2017, the atmosphere in the OneCoin headquarters in Sofia was toxic. Ruja was wiretapped, paranoid, and erratic. She suspected everyone. She knew someone was talking, but she didn't know who. Then, she found out. The details of how she discovered Gilbert's betrayal are murky, but the timing is precise. She learned that the man she loved was working for the people who wanted to put her in prison. The psychological blow must have been immense, but Ruja was nothing if not cold-blooded. She didn't confront him in a rage. She didn't break down. She executed the contingency plan. Most criminals, when they run, they make mistakes. They use their credit cards. They call their mothers. They leave a digital breadcrumb trail that a junior analyst could follow. Ruja did none of that. She understood that in the modern world, privacy is the ultimate luxury, and total disappearance requires total discipline. She stripped herself of her digital identity. No phones, no laptops, no banking access that could be traced to her personally. She took the cash, the diamonds, and the ledgers that mattered. On that morning in October, she kissed her kids goodbye, a detail that adds a chilling layer of humanity to the sociopathy, and headed to the airport. Why Ryanair? Why Athens? Athens is a gateway. From Greece, you can go anywhere by boat. And maritime law is a lot harder to enforce than aviation law. You can hop on a private yacht and be in international waters in an hour. You can be in Turkey, in Russia, in Dubai. The trail goes cold at the Athens airport. There are theories, of course. Some say she is in Dubai, living under a new face and a new name, protected by powerful friends who don't care about US indictments as long as the check clears. Some say she is in Russia. Some, the more macabre observers, suggest she never left Greece alive. That the people she laundered money for, and we are talking about Eastern European organized crime, decided she was a loose end. A liability. That perhaps the crypto queen is at the bottom of the Mediterranean. But let's look at what happened to the men she left behind. This is where the story turns from a thriller into a tragedy for the accomplices. Her brother, Constantine, was arrested at LAX. He was wearing a hoodie, looking nothing like the high roller he pretended to be. The FBI questioned him. He folded immediately. He told them everything. He admitted it was a scam. He admitted there was no blockchain. He testified against the others to save his own skin. Sebastian Greenwood was picked up in Thailand and extradited to the US. He is currently serving a 20-year sentence. The lawyer, Mark Scott, who helped launder $400 million, was convicted. Everyone paid the price. Everyone except Ruja. The investors, the dumb money, were left holding the bag. $4 billion. Gone. People committed suicide. Families were destroyed. And yet, even after the FBI declared it a fraud, even after her brother confessed, there are still OneCoin believers out there. They are still in Telegram groups, telling each other that Ruja is coming back. That the dark forces of the banking cartel forced her into hiding. That the blockchain is real and will be turned on any day now. It is a study in cognitive dissonance. It is easier to believe a beautiful lie than to admit you were conned. The lesson here for the smart money isn't just about due diligence. It is about recognizing the nature of value. Value does not come from a marketing pitch at Wembley Arena. It does not come from a charismatic leader in a ball gown. It comes from utility. It comes from verifiable truth. If you cannot see the blockchain, if you cannot audit the code, if the only place you can trade the asset is on the exchange owned by the issuer, you are not an investor. You are the liquidity. You are the mark. Ruja Ignatova exposed a flaw in the human operating system. We are wired to trust success. We are wired to follow the herd. When we see thousands of people screaming in an arena, our instinct is to join them, not to ask to see the SQL database logs. She exploited the gap between the complexity of technology and the simplicity of greed. She knew that if she used enough buzzwords, if she made it sound complicated enough, people would nod along because they didn't want to look stupid. So, where is she? If she is alive, she is living a life of looking over her shoulder. Every shadow is an FBI agent. Every unexpected knock at the door is an extradition order or a hitman. Is that freedom? You have $4 billion, but you cannot spend it openly. You cannot be Ruja Ignatova. You have to be a ghost. In a way, she is a prisoner of her own success. The ultimate exit scam became a life sentence of anonymity. But there is a part of the market, the cynical, dark corner of Wall Street, that looks at this heist and nods. Not in approval, but in recognition of the sheer scale of the arbitrage. She arbitraged hope. She bought low on human intelligence and sold high on human greed. And until the market learns to value verification over narrative, there will be another Ruja. There will be another OneCoin. The names will change. The technology will change. But the pitch will remain the same. You missed the last one. Don't miss this one. If you want to stay on the side of the smart money, if you want to understand the difference between a revolutionary asset and a refined Ponzi scheme, you need to be here. We dissect the noise. We follow the liquidity. We don't buy the dream, we buy the data. So, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. We are here to help you.